Mizzou is a team that has progressed over the last few years. Um, went from having no bowl, really no chance of going to bowl games, to all of a sudden last year with the 11-win season after the Cotton Bowl victory over the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, momentum is on the side of the Missouri Tigers right now. Um, Several guys have left to take off to the NFL, and some of the coaching staff has left as well. So left some empty spots there. Corey Batoon becomes the defensive coordinator. He was a guy that was a D coordinator for Kane Womack, who is now the defensive coordinator at Alabama over at South Alabama. So he's going to come in. Look, this is a guy that, you know, he's got a little bit of SEC experience. He's worked on some SEC staffs over the years. So I think that that's a big deal. South Alabama had a really good defense last year. Now, how much of that was Kane Womack and how much of that was Corey Batoon, we'll have to see. But filling Blake Baker's shoes, who left for LSU, is going to be a really big deal because Blake Baker did a really good job with this defense last year. But beyond that defense, you got Brady Cook coming back at quarterback. That's a huge deal, man. Anytime you have a returning quarterback, it's a big deal. But this is his fourth year playing, fourth year starting, I think. So I think you can expect that this should be the best year that Brady Cook's ever had. Not to mention you got guys like Luther Burden to throw the ball to. You return Kirby Moore as your offensive coordinator. And in today's college football, a team like Missouri to have as much success as they did last year and retain their offensive coordinator, I think that's huge. So I like the offense for this Missouri Tiger team. The defense is what I think we need to keep an eye on. Now, as far as the offensive line, you've got everybody from the center all the way out to the right tackle coming back, man. And then you pick up a transfer guy, Caden Green, who is an offensive tackle from Oklahoma, who played at Oklahoma. It played well. He's going to come in and more than likely play that left tackle or left guard spot. So really, you've only got one spot to figure out on the offensive line. So I think that's huge. You lose a really great running back, obviously, from last year, who was a walk-on and ended up being the best running back in the SEC last year. How are you gonna answer that bill? Marcus Carroll comes in from Georgia State. Nate Noel comes in from App State. Those are a couple of transfer guys. Nate Noel is somebody that a lot of people were very high on coming out of Appalachian State, and one of the most sought-after running backs in that that were available at the time in the transfer portal. So there's a lot, I think, to get excited about for the Missouri Tigers. I think we're kind of waiting to see on this defense, man. I think that's kind of where we're at. Let's see how the new defensive coordinator, Corey Batoon, handles a big-time role in a big-time college football team. You want to take us through the schedule? And before you do that real quick, I want to just tell everybody thank you again for watching the show today. If you all could, hit that like button. Help us out. We would be forever indebted to you. We love doing this. This is a lot of fun. It is a lot of work. And if you guys can give us a thumbs up and pass the good college football word on, help us by doing that, that would be much appreciated. We thank you all so much for watching and talking some college football with us here in March. This is proof that we got the best fans of any sport right here. Watching college football in March is where it's at. Y'all are some real ones. Mason, you want to take us through this schedule and let's kind of see what the schedule's looking like for the Tigers and this over-under of 9.5 for this year. Very, very high.
Very high. I don't know that it's really been any higher for Mizzou since they entered the SEC, and that's saying something considering that they won the SEC East their first 2 years in the conference. But this is really high, and for good reason. Eli Drinkwitz had a great season last year, with Missouri, and I think that they didn't just kind of luck themselves through last year. I know the Kansas State game was really close, could have gone either way, but
crazy.
They seem to really be a good program. similar to Ole Miss, where it didn't seem like smoke and mirrors or a fluke. I think that Mizzou is a pretty good football team. So going through the schedule, I think that they're easily going to win the first 4 games. And that includes an SEC game against Vanderbilt. I almost said Villanova, looking at the new logo, but Vanderbilt there. Villanova would be a tougher match, I think, actually for Mizzou. I don't even know if they have a football team.
They don't.
Yeah, so maybe their basketball team would play better than Vanderbilt out
They
there.
have an arena. They only have arena football at Villanova.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. But so then you got Texas A&M. Now, I said in doing the Texas A&M schedule breakdown that this was a pivotal game for Texas A&M. The same is true for Missouri. This is going to be a really tough matchup for Missouri. It's a very talented program, even though they haven't won as much as Missouri. They are more talented on the field, and they're getting one heck of a good head coach in Mike Elko. So I think that Texas A&M is going to be a tough one. That's one that you circle right now, and you say, gosh, we got to get prepared for that game, because that's going to make or break, to me, their 10 wins this year. Another one that I look at, a couple weeks later is Auburn. Auburn's a team that is going to be better this year, folks. I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't know if they're good enough to beat Missouri next year, but they're going to be better, and they're going to make that a competitive game. I guarantee you that game's still being played in the fourth quarter, right? It's going to be a close game. They're lucky to get that one at home. They should win it. Then you've got Alabama on the road in, I guess it'll end up being like week 9, with the bye weeks and all that. Alabama's going to have some things figured out by then. They're still going to be a really good football team. Probably not as good as they were under Nick Saban in year 1, but I would still pick Alabama to win that game. I think that Missouri is going to have their hands full, but if they could get them in a year, this is the year to get them. Oklahoma, kind of similar, but in a different sense. I lean towards Mizzou, but Oklahoma could certainly end up winning this game. With Jackson Arnold, I think that's going to be, I think he's going to end up being a pretty good, like, top 5 quarterback in the SEC by the end of the year. So what can they do on defense for, Oklahoma, that is? What can they do on defense, and how does Missouri match up with them? It's going to be really pivotal in deciding that game. And then you go down the stretch and you got South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. I mean, they're going to be favored in all 3 of those games. So to me, I think that this Missouri team will take a little bit of a step back. I have their win total at about 9 games. So if I had to bet, I would choose the under. But look, this is a talented program. This is a really good team. They've got playmakers. Luther Burden is going to be given every opportunity to win the Heisman this year. I firmly believe that he is a playmaker that is capable of putting up those type of numbers as a receiver. And Brady Cook can distribute the football just as good as anybody. So I think that this is a team that could end up winning 11 games. But given the 9.5 point or 9.5 game win total, I'm going to take the under for this year. Somebody has got to go under on their over under, right, in the SEC. I think that this is a little bit of a regression year for Missouri, but 9 wins is still something to hang your hat on, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think the schedule looks a little bit easier than it did a few months ago, and the fact that we had all the changes that have went on at Alabama. So going on the road at Alabama, I don't think is as hard as it was at one point. But most of the NFL talent that has left this team has left from the defense. You got Rakestraw there in the secondary. You had another cornerback left, a linebacker, a defensive lineman, and then a couple of offensive linemen head off to the draft. So the bulk of that NFL talent that left this team was on the defense, minus Cody Schrader. So, excuse me. With that being said, you've got Texas A&M and Alabama installing new offenses. You got Auburn, who I think is going to be a run team more than anything. Although they do add some wide receiver talent, which was a big problem for them last year. Auburn was not able to throw the football at all, so I don't know that it was enough sample size last year to say they're just not going to try to throw the ball. I think they'll do that more successfully this year, but not exactly, a bomb you over the top style offense. Um, Oklahoma is breaking in a new quarterback. Arkansas breaking in a new quarterback. South Carolina breaking in a new quarterback. Um, so, I mean, if you really sit and think about it, I think that has a little bit to do with this 9.5. Which games on schedule do we feel like are just a for sure loss? I think maybe you could say an Alabama game. Okay.
I still don't. I don't even think that that's a for sure loss. I give Alabama, the edge in that. I think I think they
Yeah.
have like a 65-70% chance of winning.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it's at Alabama. Otherwise, I think Missouri would have a better chance. But that's just one football game. So, I mean, you're having to try to come up with 3 losses on this schedule to hit the under. And I just don't fully see it right this second. I don't think South Carolina's going to be great. I don't think Arkansas is going to be great. We're going to have to see about Oklahoma. I think they're going to be pretty decent. I think that'll be a good ball game. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Alabama. Those are the 4 games. If Missouri can win 2 of those 4 ball games,
True.
I think they hit the over.
Yeah.
And now, with all that being said, I don't think I'd bet this with your money. Okay, I think this is one that I'm not touching because I feel like Vegas is daring you to take the under here.
Mhm.
That I think that's very much true. Is they're daring you to take the under, and with that schedule, it just seems like it sets up well for a defense that is probably going to take a little bit to get their footing right. Not going to be as good of a defense for Missouri this year, I don't think. But I think that offense is ready to take another step up, even though you lose out on a guy like Cody Schrader, who led the SEC in rushing last year and had an amazing, amazing season. So with all that being said, I think that we're going to see more of the same as we did last year from Missouri. I think it'll be a little bit different looking team. But I think we're going to see more success for Eli Drinkwitz, and I think you're going to see those Missouri Tigers stand on business, as they like to say.